Welcome to Chalk Talk with John. My name is John Brunswick, and we're going to discuss web experience management capabilities, specifically segmentation and targeting. In order to do this, we're going to use an analogy to set the stage to talk about these capabilities. Meet the Smiths. Mr. and Miss Smith are retired, and their grandkids are coming to visit next week. They are super excited and want to make sure that their grandkids have the best time possible. So, they decide to look at the neighboring towns of Codeaway Valley and Middleware Fields and see what type of amusement parks exist in both communities. They jump in their car and head over to Codeaway Valley. They reach the visitor center and walk up to the gentleman behind the desk and ask, "Could you tell us about your amusement parks? Do you have any sort of brochures or materials that could help us see what you have to offer?" He says absolutely and hands them a brochure. The brochure lists things like housing in the community, information about the libraries, and finally, the amusement park. He then points them over to the amusement park and they go off on their way. They spend a little time at the amusement park and say, well, let's check out what is next door at Middleware Fields. They head over to Middleware Fields and arrive at the visitor center. They walk up to the front desk and speak to a lady and ask, what do you guys have within your community with regard to an amusement park? The lady behind the desk hands them a brochure and says, you can find everything you need right here. The brochure lists off things like information about the Ferris wheel, the concession stands, the merry-go-round, a circus tent, and they are super excited and head over to the park. They spend a couple hours looking at all the different activities within the park, and as they go through the park, they notice signs that point to some of the other things within the community, like the housing, like the library. They pack up and head home. Now, in the Smiths' case, their decision became obvious. They asked the same question to both Codeaway Valley and Middleware Fields, but they got radically different answers, even though both had an amusement park. The key difference was that Middleware Fields listened to what they were saying and responded with the appropriate information. So what does this mean to our enterprise? With web experience management, we look at solving very similar problems. We have an opportunity to key off things like implicit behavior, meaning, did somebody enter a search query into Google and arrive at our site? If they did, what was that search query? What page did they arrive on our site? Where did they navigate to within our site? What geography did they originate from? We can use all of this behavioral information to help tailor the best experience possible. On top of that, if the user authenticates or logs in, we have the opportunity to get explicit information. These can be things like demographic details, ages, information about gender, and even information about transactions they may have done with our organization. All of these factors allow us to better engage with our end audience. We have an opportunity based on those factors to pull people into segments and use that to tailor the information we deliver to them. Ultimately, this helps to increase our conversion rates. And in the case of the Smiths, they ended up converting because they ended up heading to Middleware Fields with their grandkids and had a great time. That was all made possible because the information was targeted to them and placed within their context to help them make the right choice.